So there's a meeting happening right now with the Army Corps of Engineers. I'm not really exactly sure what's going to be talked about, but it's at the new barricade. I'm just heading up there right now. Should be interesting to see if they're going to talk about this new checkpoint that was put in place. Or I heard the extension is not going to be put in place. The thing was they're going to let them into the camp to clean if they could get an extension. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Looks like the 22nd is a pretty hard date, and also yesterday apparently one of their trucks hit some people too, so we'll see if they talk about that. Just heading up there to the meeting. It's right by the barricade. Oops, right here. Please share this, that'd be great. Get it out there. We'll see what's going on. Thank you.
Just in the manner they were driving. Perhaps they felt nervous, perhaps they felt insecure. I sent back the word with Dakota Sanitation, saying, if that's how you felt on one day, imagine what it's like to feel that way every day while all these things are going on. So again, we ask to humanize that, to recognize that's an agreement for today. The only thing we're looking at today, we'd like to know how many vehicles. We'd like to know that we're still talking about, Major, we're talking about snow removal and refuse removal, correct?
Absolutely.
On today?
Yep.
Okay. So we're not talking about knocking down structures, right?
No, we're not.
We're not talking about any of those other things. We're just keeping it to getting that melt out of the way so that nobody has to go through this as they're cleaning up this camp.
Right.
And that we remove the refuse that's within that snow and those trucks go in and out. Yesterday, lots of us had to go North Gate, South Gate, North Gate, South Gate. If we agree today, it's only North Gate, and there's an opportunity for those people to know what vehicles are coming in. That gives us time to put the word across the
That would have really been helpful yesterday, because whenever those trucks came in, and they came in not in a friendly way at all. The first ones that we got tagged, they were very cooperative and friendly. And when these loaders start coming in, that threw us off. We didn't have a list, So we learned from yesterday what we can do different today.
Yeah.
And he and I will be at the North Gate, and we're gonna ask everybody else not to come up there.
Okay.
Okay. And so if we could be provided that list, we could do this in a very good way.
Can we get that list from
Yeah, I think what might work best is I know the license plate numbers I think would be okay. I know there's been some asks for photos and driver's license and that.
Just license plate numbers.
So I think what could be part of that credentialing process is if we do that on 1806 before people go in through the main gate. Major Pope has some yellow placards that we do. And while the inspection's being done, they're taping those placards to the windows. You could just jot just the license plate number down.
Okay.
And once they get credentialed on the highway, so that way we're not slowing things down through Flag Road. Once that's done and they have the go-ahead, then they can go and get to work.
The reverse is true, Levi. And you know this too, Major. If I go up to any of the military installations, you're not going to let me drive through without taking my license plate. Without knowing that. It just makes sense.
Yep.
So we have, I want to reiterate then that we're clear and you guys agreed on this day, this is only Army Corps. We're not asking anybody else to be involved, and there's an assurance that goes across to the whole camp that that's all it is.
That's all it
because as Phyllis was saying, that relationship is with Army Corps. But we all know that statute exists that allows Army Corps to give that jurisdiction to Morton County, and we're definitively saying that does not happen.
All these guys are under my direction today.
And I am in touch with the Pentagon and through a lawyer, and they have assured us that they cannot do anything what is in the making. And I just want to ensure that there's no violence that occurs at this level.
It was scary when
And we want to avoid what happened yesterday. The only reason people would cross that barricade is if they're responding to something that's happening with the contractor. And so the reason that we're here today and we're staying here today is to prevent that from happening.
So our history, Army Corps has desecrated graves, grave robbing, including my grandmother, which is why I'm here. Which is I have the collective memory of that trauma. So no more. And so I took exception the other day. I came down because there were paddy wagons and police and guns here. And I took exception because I took the governor's word that there would be no more violence, that he would come in a good way. We gave him that. We don't give that to Dalrymple. He stole 25,000 acres of our railroad land. Dalrymple's a thief, and he used the National Guard for his own personal interests. That's not acceptable. So we don't want the National Guard in here. And if they are used against us by the military, Army Corps, that's treason. That's treason.
It's the last thing that anybody wants.
No military is coming in here. We just want to, like we said today, our objective is to clean up. To
No
help clean
violence.
up. No
No
violence.
violence.
Absolutely peaceful,
Thank
no
you for our
violence.
people.
To help clean up.
Is Rick coming back down today again? Do you know?
Yeah, Rick will be coming
That
back
was
down.
super helpful to have him to address his own staff.
Yeah. So we talked through the plan this morning. We said we'll talk to you guys as early as we can get in. That's what we want to do. Start to get that refuge and snow out of there. But back on you guys, getting some of those structures down. You guys start putting some pressure on folks so we can get the whole area pristine, as you said. We're not going to do that. We're going to leave that to you guys to do it and give people the time, give them the chance to come to terms with it. But it's all got to be part of the plan.
And as part of that, I know the 20 seconds approaching quickly. The one thing that, and I don't know if it's now or later in the day, depending on how things go on, we're completely flexible to your preferences. We did get some requests from contractors if it's possible to start earlier. We can't add the number of days, and I know we discussed that. We can't add days, but we hope that we could add hours. And if they were able to get in around 7 sun up at some point, while the ground's still firm from the cold of the night, that might add more time to allow them to move more trash out. So, and I know, we'd been doing 9, and so I don't know if we, say at the end of the day we reassess on, them starting at 7, and then we still get together at 9 and reassess how things are going in the morning. But we want to make sure that we're being as helpful as we can.
So then I would ask in return, because again, you're asking for reassessment where it works in the timeline and the strategies that you have in place. And we don't have to discuss all of those things, but we have to discuss that it needs to be equitable. And that if in that space where you're asking, can we move that time forward, then we're also going to ask, as you see in good faith, people are working. We don't have what you have. We don't have big machinery. We don't have people who have been crewed. We don't have people who have been trained and have been licensed. We have people who are struggling to transition from moving from one place to another. And in that, it takes them a little bit extra because they're not contractors looking at how a structure gets built or how it comes down. They're just people trying to figure out how to take their cultural items, how to take their spiritual items, how to take their own emotion, their own mental, their own physical, their own spiritual self to a place where they can do that. And you keep saying, yes, the 22nd is firm. And each day, people come here on good faith and say, we'll see that all of us are aware that we're trying to do something in relationship. But part of that was saying that 22nd doesn't have to be firm. And I'm aware that there's a lot of pressure saying, don't budge, don't give in to them. Give in to what? Give in to the humanity that is before you, that is struggling to hold its dignity and remove those things that have come forward from all of this. And we don't have to discuss that. But I'd like to see that's more equitable. I'd like to see you come back tomorrow morning and say, we had a talk, we went back and said, listen, these guys are working hard. And if the 22nd stands, but we're still cleaning, we need to be able to allow that discussion. And I'd like to see you say that could be open and not just closed. I know those statements were made, but I'm asking it. It's on camera for that review. That you can come tomorrow and say, okay, this is one day at a time. Because each day I'm going to ask you on this day, what happens on this day? So that I hear you say it, so that we all hear you say it, so that all the cameras can hear you say it, so we have an understanding, right? But we know the 22nd is coming. And you can see people are struggling without the capabilities that you have at your fingertips and the resources you have at your fingertips. At some stage, that's just a human element of what we have, what our capabilities are. So we're asking again, and I'm asking that you take that time and acknowledge. Because you can see these days, everybody's trying to do that. There's things that are going to happen, but everyone's trying to do that. That makes that more equitable. You reckon?
I have a request, or a moral fantasy. My name is Candy Kingston, Lakota Sioux, and the Corps of Engineers is known as, Phyllis was saying, as grave robbers. I went to boarding school at Crow Creek High School, and even there, Corps of Engineers moved the Dakota Pequotty Sioux down from their land up on top, and ancestors were desecrated. And now I live in Portland, Oregon, and I'm very aware of politics. I have a master's in public administration. I know the dance. I've been here since September. This is ceremony. This is our way of life. And in Portland, the Pacific Northwest Indians have been terrorized. Their waters, their rivers have been taken, their salmon have been taken from them, their way of life. And now here we are here again, Corps of Engineers, the most historical gathering of nations of all time. Again, Corps of Engineers is coming in and desecrating. My request, our people, our entire being have been traumatized, been removed with brutality in every possible direction that we've gone in prayer. My request is that on the 22nd, allow us to have that ceremony for prayer for this land. There's that need for that closure in a prayerful way, regardless if it's pristine. Like human beings, we have our hands, our heart, and our prayers to remove what we have here. But this has become our home, and it's going to remain our home. I'm a resident here. I pay rent in Portland, but I live here at Ochaki-Shakoni. And I want to honor this land for all the prayers and ceremonies that we've had and that we're going to continue to have. And for once, please allow us to embrace our culture and spirituality and have that ceremony with this land. And don't drag us out of here. We hear that you have your deadlines, you have your officials that you have to abide by, and those authorities who are up and beyond you. But I'm asking for all of these people who are not here, who are unseen and who are unheard, for all the prayers that they put here, for all the sacrifice, for all the people who've given up their homes, their jobs. I left my 2 daughters to be here because I knew I wanted to make an impact for the Two-Spirit Nation, and also as a woman leader. And that's my request, is to allow us to have that time, to have that healing, that closure, because there's so much historical trauma that's going to continue in the generations. So for once, stand up and allow Corps of Engineers to be seen as not desecrating and not brutalizing and not traumatizing our people.
So we know that the Army Corps has agreed to do some good things for us, and we know that the governor is not agreed, so we're aware of that. But just to let you know that the 22nd is DAPL's deadline, and we know that. And there are still 5 more lawsuits that are in the making, more that are being filed before the 22nd. So there's still the litigation that has to be completed before any more action is done. But for this camp, we appreciate the Army Corps' position at the highest level, and that we keep you to your commitment under treaty obligation. And we do not want Martin County in here. We do not want the guns and the abuse that they brought here. So I, for one, want to thank you for coming here. I will be observing. I will be part of in the camp. The food for the people is not getting in here for the workers. So I will make sure the Bureau knows, the BIA police know that they need food and energy to keep cleaning. So that's a big complaint. They brought me 2 big barrels of vegetables cleaned and ready to eat, but they couldn't get them through. So that's what I'm working on too. So,
Yep.
So thank you.
As well as firewood.
Yeah.
We need firewood. It's still cold out. We still have days before they're asking us to leave. So we need people to be warm. We need people to be safe. We're still in freezing temperatures. So we ask for clarification with the why Martin County vehicles are over there?
Sheriff's Department
Yeah.
vehicles.
So they're supporting the, I believe they're supporting the BIA.
Supporting them in what way?
Just their presence, the assistance the BIA had requested them to be stationed on 1806. 1806 is a state highway. And so
I understand how those things work. I'm asking you seriously, supporting them in what way? We asked again, and you heard Phyllis just say, they don't need a presence there. No one's trying to rush through the checkpoint. Everybody who's coming down here is returning either from the hotel or coming from, Cheyenne River or other places to come in and try and facilitate what you're talking about. And again, barricade came closer. Now we have Morton County presence at the checkpoint. All of those things are things that, there's many interpretations and it doesn't work out well. So again, a request, they don't need to be there. They have radios, they can talk to each other. They're right over here, they have the opportunity to be in communication. It doesn't need to be shown to everybody that they want to have a presence.
there was a request from the BIA, but what we will do is ask them if they have the resources to do that without Morton County. That is something that we'll.
Can we make
we'll
a
do
more
right away.
specific ask that you just leave and stay over there?
The specific Morton County
Yep.
specifically,
Yeah.
as opposed to being.
It's a lot of psychological, has a huge psychological effect on everybody here. And we're trying to work with you guys in good faith. And it really, really puts us on edge that we're boxed in.
We're
on
talking
both
about the
sides.
larger amount of the whole camp
Yes.
that you're saying we
Yes.
want to work with.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just want to make sure that we're not misunderstood. If there is an issue with the contract, they then request assistance. That would be the only thing. That's why we're here to prevent it. But if there's an issue and people come down, that would be the only reason people come down today. We're going to work to avoid that. But we'll ask about if the BIA, that would be the people who make the decision. Would be the BIA if they're comfortable having them come back here and to not have patrols along the road.
I understand that. You can also see on the day basis.
Yes.
You see people are working toward that.
Entirely.
It's not to avoid it, it's to remove it.
Yep.
So we can't, on one hand, move barricade closer, put Morton County there and say we're trying to avoid an incident. That's what helps to create it.
Absolutely.
Let's remove those pressure points as we've talked about these last days.
Absolutely.
Allow people their opportunity to move in a good way.
And then we asked yesterday, we requested that the presence on those burial grounds be removed. We offered an alternative to have a neutral party up there for your purposes and for ours. That I have people that are willing to facilitate that. So I want to ask you what the answer is, but I kind of already know because there's a new military vehicle sitting up there on that hill.
Did they move the light? That was one thing that they. Because I know there was.
a different direction now.
I know that was one thing that we talked about yesterday, and I know that was talk about incremental steps. So we did bring that back. That was what they're willing to do today. We'll again bring that back and see. So I hope that's a sign that we're trying to be in dialogue.
It's a nice thought as a gesture, but what speaks louder than that is that there's a military vehicle parked on top of graves there right now. So even you could turn the light in a different direction, pull it back a couple feet,
Yep.
but you added a military vehicle there.
We will make that ask as well.
So we're asking specifically that be removed, right, like immediately. Because if your grandma was buried on that hill, how would you feel? And you got a military vehicle parked on top of her. It's hard. We're doing our best to work with you guys, but there's a lot of psychological and emotional abuse going on.
Will the roadblock allow deliveries of firewood into the camp? Because firewood is still needed in the camp. It still is winter.
Any life-sustaining items, yes.
What about
If it's-
sleeping
if it's
bags? I
building-
heard someone was denied sleeping bags
If
last
it's building material, can't come on.
So you and I, we can go
Right.
and talk
That's
to
where
them.
we'll go.
We'll
But
move
building
it.
materials, we can't keep building new structures if we're trying to get this place cleaned and cleaned out.
We're not trying to build new structures.
No.
We're
I
not.
understand.
And a
but
clarification for each one of those, if need happen, then let's go through them. But there's nobody here trying to build new
Right.
structures. We're trying to take care of everybody. And one day at a time. No one comes to harm. I say that each day.
One day
So
at a
on
time.
this day,
That is the shared goal.
okay.
Are sleeping bags allowed in?
Yes.
I guess my
Sleep bag's not a problem.
well, for what purpose?
If we had members coming in to help
come
us
clean up and
The
move
people
out
that come
because
in.
we have
Yeah.
4 days.
Yeah.
We need more hands.
They need to be able to sleep somewhere at night.
They need to stay warm.
Because people were denied last night getting in because of having sleeping bags.
That's again, I think a specific request that we'd have to talk to the BIA about. I know the goal is to reduce the influx of people into the camp, because I know there's some concern about additional people coming and staying. So firewood, absolutely. That's another inquiry that we will have to make, however.
Okay, let's get to it.
Yeah, let's start our day.
All right, let's start. Thank you all. We're going to end in prayer.
So the meeting is just ending. They're doing a prayer. You can film with the prayer, but they're still pretty hard set on the 22nd. But I guess every day they're going to reassess that. But it still looks like the 22nd is a hard date. There were a presence. I'll show you. Burial ground there, and they asked to have the officers not be up there, or the lights turned the other way. But it didn't change. They put a vehicle up there. So there's not really much negotiation happening. I know there were some people that tried to bring in sleeping bags last night through that checkpoint, the BIA checkpoint. Angie Spencer's got a really good feed about that. They turned them away, so I check her live feed out. So they're saying you can't bring in building supplies, and apparently they're going to reassess bringing sleeping bags. They don't want influx of people coming in, but these people last night that were denied sleeping bags actually have been here for 3 to 4 months. So I got to the meeting a little bit late, but just got those facts in there, and they meet every day at 9 a.m. So they brought in some vehicles to help clean up yesterday, and apparently some of those vehicles stormed the camp in and hit about 3 people too. I wasn't there for that, but I heard about that as well. These Army Corps of Engineer guys seem pretty friendly, but it doesn't seem like these negotiations are really going too well. But hey, let's see if we can get to turn away their prayer. You can't film any prayer stuff.
Another day. Some vehicle moves out today and keep things moving forward. I'm gonna go talk to these guys, see what we can do on that front there. Then I'll get Darren, CIA, and you plan to go down there. Yeah. Okay. We'll give them a call first. There. And then what we should do next is make sure that we get whatever the credentialing process is going to be. Yes. You want to get those passes out and figure out what part of 1806 we'll need to get those trucks. Because I think that they said they'd be in probably around 10. Okay. So, yeah, they're coming 20 something. So we got to talk credentialing, how we're doing that. We'll address the vehicle thing, the Humvee over there, so we'll address that. But let's figure out what space we're going to use to do this credentialing, what it means, what we're doing. Get that rolling. They're supposed to be coming at 10, and we'll get all the rest of the stuff. And we're going to stick around here today, so if you guys need me, I'll probably hang up on the barricade. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you move my car?
Yeah. So I just want to talk to you a little bit, Johnny. So I guess what I kind of came here, I'm a contractor too, and I came all the way from Montana. But I grew up here in Standing Rock. I'm from Standing Rock. My family lives here, everything, I have
Figure out how we systematically do it, but at the same
one of the
time, you
things
gotta.
that Scott wanted me to do is just, when these trucks start coming in, when they start loading, on this north gate here, whenever
Oh yeah, I bought some.
wanted me just kind of in the middle of the operation.
Yeah.
Stop their momentum coming up so they get stuck.
I lived in you want to help control. Really?
Just at North Gate, yep, and I'll just be in between.
So I don't know who you want to hand them to, but I brought 2 bunches.
See the truck right here, that white truck?
Yeah.
I'll be in that one. I'll be right there in that one. And I'm a contractor too, we came to help, I came along with us too. And I was here before, the camp when it all started, everything. And Scotty wanted me to talk to you specifically about that. So
Let's go talk to the gate and just make sure that.
We actually have a plan. already. We do.
It's Julio.
Hi, I'm Julio.
Raymore.
Nice to meet you. Good morning.
Morning. How you been?
So we're gonna Major Pope and I, and if you want to join us, we're gonna verify each vehicle, provide verify the credentials, and then they have a placard for each one. So we'll just stick that in the window, and then all that will be taken care of, and then we're gonna have just 2 people at the gate. That's gonna be Shard and Oscar.
I just put him in
they're
a
asking
Perkins
everyone
box.
else to just stay back.
Yes,
so
I did.
they'll
Mr.
already
Perkins,
be verified.
and then
we're
BIA
just
was
going.
so nice to
So there's nothing at the front.
Okay, good. And then I'll just be in between the operation where they're loading and the front gate, just to kind of mediate, so no one walks in the middle of the the vehicles coming out, because their biggest concern was the vehicles had to stop and then they'd bog down and get stuck. So and I'm in that truck right there, in that white truck right back
And
there.
then, so you guys have the sanitation trucks that were here yesterday.
Yeah.
There's a man on the video that was really disrespectful. So I'm asking that he not be allowed on this job site.
And I don't know who he is. Or
I can
whatever.
show you the
okay,
video.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I don't know who he is right now, but I'll sure try to mediate anything like that, because I came, to help Scott, and me and him grew up together here on Standing Rock, and should I live here? I got a home here, so I know all the issues, and I'm willing to help any kind of way possible. Okay?
He's gonna let me stay in his home.
He did.
I have a renter there.
He did almost injure three people here.
And
So,
I heard,
it's on
kind
video, so we
of
just,
both sides too.
we're not gonna, we don't even want to dispute it. We just want to say he's not here today.
And if you point him out or whatever, I could talk to his boss and maybe have him sit back or something, And a lot of that too comes from the panic of people being in the way and stuff too. They were kind of panicked too. So
I mean, I'll let you watch the video. His manner, he was very, very rude and disrespectful, and it was like a person. It's who he is. It's like you can see it's his personality or whatever. He's got issues, but we don't need that here. We don't want that.
And Scott and the contractors is me as well, because I'm a contractor. I don't want that either. I want to do this peacefully, because I grew up here, and the way it's kind of playing out, we didn't grow up this way. We took care of the land. We're from it. So I see the same point of view. I'm with you. I wish this would never happen. But I'm here to do a job too, and I got to do my job. So, and I'm working for the Corps. So. I came a long ways. I came all the way from Montana just to be a part of this cleanup. So, you bet. No, you guys, my name is Ray Moore. I grew up here, family here. So, you're grateful? Are you from here?
Yeah, I was born here.
Well, you're probably my relation. I'm related to all the Brakevilles here.
Claude Brable was my dad.
Claude?
Yeah.
Shit, I know Claude. I remember when he passed away. Claude's your dad, huh? Yeah, Marty and all them. I know all them. I grew up with them.
Maybe we should stay in touch. Tell me about him.
You bet. We will, bro. Yeah, I knew him well. He was my older brother's age, But, I'm up there. I'm up there. In my late 40s,
That'd be cool.
I know Curtis, Randy, all them, Yeah.
Uncle Curtis, Uncle Randy.
Yeah, they're my family too, So, but I just, I'm here to do a job too, bro. So, my part will just be in between the gate and the loaders, So I'll just do whatever I can. I don't want no one to get ran over while they're coming in and out. And that was their biggest concern, was that someone would stop them, and then they would have to stop, and they wouldn't have enough momentum to get up that hill.
That's understandable. My brother's a mechanic. We're going to be pulling some cars out today. He has the same concern. Doesn't want to get stuck in the mud.
Another thing I want to, kind of point out to you guys too, if you guys are having difficulties with any of those structures, that's what I brought my crew here for too. We have tools, anything you guys need, I could help you guys start taking those structures down. And I'll be here till whenever, and I have tools, I could get tools, whatever you guys need, I'm willing to help. So, I just want you guys to know that. Scott wanted me to talk directly to you. So.
Okay.
All right?
Remind me, Major, we'd like to see that list.
Yeah, Johnny, Ray Moore, Johnny, we grew up here. Yeah. So I will, I'll mention it there. And what we talked about up there in the meeting was they have these yellow stickers, and we'll put those in the windows of all the vehicles.
I talked to Scott last night, but understand that when you get a whole bunch of vehicles, all the stickers look the same. Let these guys have a chance also to do a job for them and have a list and make an idea. They'll feel much better, because everything.
I understand that,
including
John.
for you, man.
Yeah, I
But
understand
just
that.
for everybody. So,
And like goes passing on to all these other people like Mr. Braybull is that, like when you're talking about having difficulties with those structures, I came all the way from Montana, but I grew up here. I've been gone for like 7 years, but I have tools. If you need any help with taking structures down or anything, just let me know because,
So you see what we did today, one day at a time.
Exactly.
Today we know
exactly.
we'll do that. Tomorrow, after we get that assessment, we might be saying, hey, it's got a whole bunch of tools. Maybe then we get some hands together. This one, we'll all think about that.
Yep, and I'm putting that out
How many
there
are
to
in
you.
your crew total?
There's just 3, but I could get more. Just.
There was talk the other day about gravel maybe for this road.
Yep.
Again.
Yep, and
Again.
they're gonna have to gravel it because it's just bogging out, and everybody's getting stuck. So, yep, and that's in the works. Yep, they talked about that this morning. So,
Timeline for that.
Let me check with them.
today it might be today actually because just because of the fact that they were getting stuck and kind of that road's bad and all the snow's kind of there was talk about that. So, but yeah, I'll just be in that truck.
In the blue wigwam down there that's owned by a young woman who's widowed and she has a baby and she left, there's a wooden stove in there and so it's super heavy. Is there anybody who can get that out? I can put it in my vehicle and can take it to her, but it's so heavy we need some manpower to lift that out.
Yep.
Okay.
Just look through my truck and on this north gate. I'll just be in between the north gate and the workers. Okay, and that's kind of my job, just to kind of mediate so that no one gets hurt. When they're pulling those trucks out. And anything you guys need help with,
But that was just one specific
okay.
thing.
I know there's a bunch. I know there is.
And that's my role too today, or ongoing every day. But let me grab my phone so I can get your phone number.
Okay.
So we can.
You bet.
We do it up here in this area.
Yeah, before they get down.
Before they get down, just take the tape and the placards for whoever's going to actually do it.
Okay.
They can do it right here. Get things moving. We're not taking pictures of driver's licenses
No,
or anything.
It's
Just the license plate.
vehicle license plate. Okay.
Yep. That's it.
All right, we'll go sort that.
All right.
See you tomorrow morning.
Next stop, EIA checkpoint. I think.
Thanks.
What's that? So the
So they turn the light this way.
So the lights turn, right?
Not enough? Still getting into your eyes? Yeah, we were hoping they would. We were still pushing for us. Now they've turned it. Tomorrow we'll ask them to move it back 10 feet. The day after we'll ask if they can unplug it. Maybe they can just...
Yeah, it's all baby stuff. I'm trying. We're trying. Sorry.
That's right.
Yeah.
I will see you.
Do you have a card?
Shine River.
Shine River,
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends there too. I fought fire my pretty much my whole life, so I've been all over the whole United States on disaster relief, everything you could think of, So, yeah, I know a lot of people from Eagle Butte too. I know Ward's, Chasing Hawks, High Hawks, High Elk.
I'm related to the High Elks. Actually, Oscar right there, he's a High Elk.
Is he related to Tim?
Probably, yeah. So I sent you a text.
Going to be in charge up here with the credentialing?
Oscar and Char are going to be at the North Gate.
Okay.
And then,
So Major French is the first FRGN student.
So if you touch me, I'll just get you.
yep, I did. I think it's going to go a lot better today.
Good.
We've never done this before. So yesterday was just, we didn't know what we needed to go after yesterday. Now we know.
Yep.
We're all here.
Didn't know what to expect. Yep, exactly.
I was hoping to put my hands in the dirt and start to get to move stuff. So
You can help at my camp.
yeah, I'll come. I'll be there after we get this stuff worked out. Show me where camp is. Let's get moving. So these guys are going to be with. Is Oscar going to take them and show them, give them the orientation?
Orientation like around camp?
Yeah, because I don't know.
Okay.
It's been a while since we've been around camp.
Yeah.
I kind of know what's going on, and I'll just kind of fill it out too.
Okay.
As long as you guys are okay with me my truck, just kind of driving around, And like I was telling her too, Oscar, whenever the trucks and they start loading and stuff, I'll just kind of be in the middle between the operation and the this gate, okay? Sure. Just so that no one, comes in between and, kind of tries to slow the trucks down and stuff, because I just don't want no one to get hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm on contract there too, and that's why I came down to just help out anyone in any way I can.
And if you guys could just stay centralized, like in one, not dispersed in one camp, that would help.
Yep. We will.
And then,
that's my check house to just look for it. It just has a red like fire hose on the back. So.
okay, so then we also may have some people just kind of observing you guys.
Yep.
But they're under instruction to not interfere with anything, but they're also to help on the backside of that with the campers, so that everyone, because we can't let everybody personally know what's going on. So if there's curiosity or whatever, then our people will
They can maintain a buffer.
Yeah, a buffer. Yeah.
Great.
So,
Glad to hear it. Yep, that's all we asked for is hey, if you're looking out for us, we're looking out for getting this area done. So. All right. Man, Levi, looks like you're getting interviewed. So, Levi, I already talked to them about moving the Humvee off.
I will talk to them about the Humvee.
I already talked to them.
You did?
Yeah. They're moving it.
nice, thank you.
They said the reason it was the only tracked vehicle they had. I said, yeah,
it just looks so horrible. It looks really bad.
Yeah.
I was like, I saw it and I was like, well, there's our answer.
Right.
To,
right. I know, I know you guys are having traction issues there. There's certainly on them over there as well.
You guys are going to replace the Humvee with the staple trailer now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that defeats the purpose then.
So is there so I can understand the specific layout. Is there a spot over there anywhere that they could park? Because I know they had told us that they had some concerns about. Well, I know that from there they can't see over the crest of that hill, and there had been some people that were coming in the evening times a lot, and they're just worried again to avoid confrontation
for people
if they get flanked around the side, and that would be the flashpoint that we don't want. So it's like, how do we work with the physical logistics of that area?
Can I check with somebody who can confirm with absolute no doubt?
Yeah.
And then today,
yes,
we'll
if you can tell us like this,
we can
spot.
walk and say, hey guys,
if there are spots
not so good. If you want to get out,
we got to honor.
Observe.
Yeah. We want to find the middle ground here where we're in a place that is okay to be, and they still aren't worried. Just to again lowering the tensions on both sides is the goal here, and that's why we're here.
Did they say?
On top of the burial grounds, moving in, they're trying to replace that. Humvee right there, just on top of the phone right here. They just moved that Humvee top and want to move that out.
Hopefully that doesn't.
Yeah, we want to be the replacement of them having to respond to anything.
And then did they answer about the Mark County?
That's what
I haven't asked about that, but I will do that
next.
next.
We need to go down.
Right,
Do you want to ride with us?
Yeah, I'll let
Oscar? Listen.
Well, I would go down, check with them. Probably gonna have to run it by Aaron. Do you have Aaron's phone number?
Justin's.
Actually, give him a call. Because I think it was just a staffing request, and I don't think there's no jurisdictional issues or anything on that end. But
Okay.
No, we'd have to check.
They just need more bodies.
I think they were just requesting more support, but we understand the optic of that.
I mean, the hotel full of BIA doesn't it's not enough.
I think they're staying pretty busy with Sacred Stone right now, though. So.
All right, so
you're gonna head down there. And once you get more information on that hill, come find Popeye, and then we'll try to get that done. And I am just gonna talk. I'm gonna talk to these guys. I don't know a lot of these guys myself, and so we want to establish relationships with them. So as the communication continues, I'm the guy that Monday through Friday wears a suit in the Capitol. So I gotta.
Oh really?
Yeah.
We need some new warmers.
What's that?
Yeah,
No, this is this is a nice change of pace. Wearing a tie gets
nice. Yeah.
All right,
let's go. But are they going to be at 10 o'clock right now?
So
do you need a check your vehicle?
We got that text going. Let's go ahead and text Rick.
Yeah. See what the status is.
Sorry, I don't want to hold you up. Can I grab your name?
French.
Yeah, I know it sounds a little odd.
Just making sure I heard you right.
Yeah, so
Oh, no, we're gonna check them here, and then we're just gonna
Yeah, of course.
But we do need to get some people for the buffer.
Okay.
So if we could,
That'll be
but to like be right where they were.
Yeah. Yep. That's what we're doing.
We'll go talk to them to see
Yeah.
what response. They might be flexible for moving, and then once we hear back, we'll go.
Steve,
Yep.
just know we're trying to get busy with the move too. So
Yeah. Got more communication than less, and be slow responding to text messages than people being like, we want to talk to someone we don't have anyone to talk to. So yeah, no problem.
Army Corps of Engineers. He's talking to Morgan County right now. I'm not really sure about what, but just to give you a little what's happening here. Funny, you go probably about, I just went up to the barricade and I lost my connection, so there's something right there. I don't know if you guys can even, now connection's back, it's weak. It's like if you go an inch away from the barricade, I got shut off. But now I'm, you can see about, I don't know, 5-10 feet away, and now I'm back on again. So there definitely is something going on there with, it cut off the signal right when you hit the barricade, which is interesting. There is an Army Corps of Engineer right now speaking to Morgan County right now. I'm not really exactly sure what he's talking about, but I'll try to ask and see what they're talking about. If you guys can hear me, let me know. I think it looks like I'm all right. Back on interception as soon as you followed them. I know, right? It's kind of funny that like right when I hit the barricade, it went off, but I backed off like 5 to 10 feet. Hey, were you here for the whole meeting?
Yeah.
Could you just recap? I just got here late. What exactly?
Lid, you're better at recaps.
I just got here late to the meeting. I'm just live streaming right now. Just a little recap of what happened today.
So what's happening is they're having meetings every day starting 2 days ago between the Army Corps of Engineers, the governor's office, and the camp spokespeople.
Right.
And they're basically just having a clear communication about what's going to happen here on the 22nd, if that day is flexible, who to let into camp for cleanup, how to let those people in, what's happening here with this barricade and over on this hill. So some of the camp spokespeople are just like voicing some of those concerns. They'd like these cars off of the hill, they'd like this moved back a little bit. Right now there's also BIA presence at the other side, so the camp is kind of feeling boxed in. So basically what they're doing is asking them to bring back to their bosses these requests and see if there's any flexibility on to do that.
Was there any request? I didn't go to the meeting yesterday. Was there any requests made yesterday that were granted?
We were actually not here yesterday either. Let me see if I can remember. The day before, I would say they asked to move that date.
That's what I was there for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was unfortunately not granted. But
seems like they're pretty still hard on the 22nd, right?
Yeah, I think mostly what happened yesterday was there was some confusion about who was allowed in the camp. So I think there had been a request for license plates or lists or just something to allow the security to know who was coming in. And that sort of got lost in communication, and then there were trucks here and the security didn't know who they were, and so that's what they were talking about today to try to avoid that.
And didn't one of their trucks hit a few people? Did you hear about that? There's a video about
I
that?
haven't had. Yeah, I don't think anyone was hit.
Barrel, or the guy had an attitude apparently with security and was just going forward without consideration of their request to stop.
Right. So they're trying to avoid that now by having these stickers, these yellow stickers. So that way they can know, which vehicles are approved to come in to clean up and which are not. So that's kind of, they're trying to avoid what happened yesterday.
So that's one thing that was like gotten through the meeting. They have stickers now for the vehicles.
Right. So they're trying to have license plates, and the sort of argument from the camp was, well, if we went to the governor's office, or if we went to the Army Corps of Engineers, you probably wouldn't let us in without some sort of pre-approval. So they're just trying to get equal treatment for that kind of stuff and for who's coming in camp, because obviously people are sensitive about a lot of just vehicles that they don't recognize coming in here, and you don't know who that is. So it's really important to.
And they said they moved the light too. That light right there, like it was. They moved.
They like twisted it, so it was pointed this way.
Yeah. So they twisted it.
Like looking kind of aggressive, and they moved it, and then they moved the Humvee off the hill and replaced it with a state trooper, and now they're trying to get the state trooper off the hill.
Right. So
and why did you catch why they had the vehicle even there? Did they say why the vehicle's there?
So what they're worried about is people coming from that hill and not having a vantage point. So they want to have the vehicle at some place on the hill, because if you look here, they can't see above this hill, obviously.
Right.
So their concern is that people will come in the dark, in the night, around this way, kind of surprise them, and they're trying to avoid flashpoints. So they want somebody up there. The issue being that that's a burial ground.
Right.
So then right now they're negotiating, trying to find out, well, is there a spot where they can see, but it's also off of a burial ground? So that's part of what they're talking about today. Can we go over there? Can we find a spot that works for everyone? Where the security is happy that they can see, and also the camp doesn't feel uncomfortable that there's Army presence on top of burial ground,
Sure.
which I think is an understandable request.
So they're afraid people are gonna come over the hill, or
I think more behind it. Yeah.
So like
they're
from camp up this side and crest over the hill, and then start a situation that neither side would want.
One concern that we've heard a lot from law enforcement is they're worried about being outnumbered. So I think that, I don't have a confirmation from them on this, but it's probably possible that they're worried about being outnumbered and surprised. So they want a vantage point.
That's new though, right? I mean, that's only the last couple of days. There was never a vehicle up there before, right?
No, that started when
the new barricade
up here. So the thing is, before they had the barricade back there, right?
Right.
So they could see who was coming, right? But since they moved their sort of security point, if you want to call it that,
They started with the last child. So over this hill, there's a bigger hill, and they put police up there after the last child raid. I could see the whole camp pretty much. I guess not behind this hill either, but
so now they're sort of in a place where they feel like they can't see. That's the issue from the law enforcement side.
So do you think these negotiations are going well? I mean, do you think they're working with the camp? What are your feelings about it?
I feel like it's good to even have them. This wasn't happening. We've been here like a month and a half. We haven't seen this happen before, and especially in an open forum where you have cameras and media documenting it. I think that's a really important element. How they're going, it's a little bit hard to say, because the people who are representatives here aren't actually the people who make decisions. So that's one of the issues, is that you have negotiations, but their answer to most things is that they have to take it back to the higher ups, which from their perspective is also understandable, right? They can't come here and make promises, because then they might get in trouble later on. So that makes it a little bit more difficult, because you have certain requests, and then it's not really direct. They have to go back and discuss it and come back.
Sure.
But overall, I think it's a really positive step, and I think this is a really tense time for everyone. Everyone's feeling on edge in the camp. I think the representatives who come down here are feeling also overwhelmed. So I think it's good to just have that conversation at the beginning of every day, and talk about these things, like who's allowed in the camp, and try to avoid flashpoints, as they're calling them.
Right.
So I think it's a really positive thing, even though it's a difficult condition to negotiate, if that makes sense, because nothing concrete can be decided in these negotiations. There can only be requests voiced, and then they bring it back. But since they're coming back the next day, it's a quick turnaround, so they can come back and say, you know, this is
accountability.
Right, there's a little bit of accountability because, you know, if there's requests from the camp and they come back tomorrow and say, you know, and they don't have an answer, then the camp can put some pressure on, like, well, why didn't you ask? We talked about this yesterday, and that we saw a little bit of that today, you know, where they referenced, well, we said this yesterday, and, you know, why did that happen? And, you know, we asked for this hill to be cleared. Why is there another vehicle? So I think it's good because things don't really build as much because it's a daily.
Sure. I was at that first meeting, not yesterday, the day before, and it seemed like the only reason that they were allowed in was because they were going to move that date. And it seemed like one of the guys, I don't know if you were there, when he actually called someone, and he said, you know, it looks like they're flexible.
Yeah. I mean, what happened was behind closed doors, so nobody knows, right? So you had a meeting where, you know, the camp representative, the spokespeople asked, could you move the date up? We're trying as hard as we can, but it's not enough time, right? Because if you look at the camp, there's still a lot to be done, and they just didn't feel like the 22nd was enough time. So the person from the Army Corps did call the person who's making those decisions, but then later that night they issued a statement. They did indicate they were flexible, but then later that night they issued a statement.
The governor.
So it's really hard to know what happened, right? Because it could be coming from the governor pressure. It could be that the colonel, you know, kind of changed his mind in those meetings. At this point, nobody knows what happened. But basically, yes, there was an indication of flexibility that then changed really quickly, and I think that's a question that we are still trying to get to the bottom of, because I think it's important to know what happened there. But it was behind closed doors, so right now nobody knows.
And do you think the Army Corps, their main mission here is to actually help clean up? Do you think that's what they're really all about?
That's what they're saying. I mean, like I said, a lot of this stuff happens behind closed doors, so we can only go based off what they're saying. I'm sure one of the goals is to help clean up. Whether there are other goals, really hard. That's really anybody's guess. All we can do is watch it and see, and because nobody really knows what's going on inside. You know, of course, there are speculations about what the motives are, and everyone. There are as many speculations as there are people here.
Sure.
So, yeah, so you never know. But that they're willing to talk and have a dialogue, I think is a positive step.
Sure.
You know, whether that's enough, I don't know. But yeah, we'll see.
Thanks for talking to me.
Yeah, of course. Sure.
What do you think about the 22nd? Do you think what are you hopeful? I mean, like, what are your thoughts for that date? What do you think?
Seems soon. From my sort of objectively looking at what the camp looks like now. You know, we're media, so we're not part of the camp, we're just covering it. But looking at the camp now, seems like there needs to be more time. That's my gut feeling, and I feel like it won't be done.
The concern I've heard from inside the camp is that if it's the flood that they're worried about, then the 22nd is sort of immaterial, because it's not like on the 23rd all of a sudden there's going to be a flood.
Right.
So that deadline, like, the concern from inside the camp is that it's politically motivated. It's not necessarily grounded in any kind of fact that's going to change on the 22nd.
Right.
It's more of like a deadline to have a deadline.
And then on the argument on the other side is that people need to be out before cleanup can happen. So yeah, the argument coming from you know, Bismarck and coming from the Army Corps is, well, we need to move people out because
then they have to go in and really
clean everything
get all
up.
the stuff out.
Yeah, so is that politically motivated? That's not really for us to decide, but those are sort of the arguments on both sides. On one side, the camp is saying, well, you know, it's February, this is not going to flood till March, so why are we being evacuated in, you know, kind of the middle of February?
Sure.
And then the argument on the other side is, well, we need people out well before the flooding, so we have time to clean everything up. So those are sort of the two sides. People can decide for themselves what they think of that.
Sure. I found it kind of interesting too that there happened to be a BIA checkpoint the same day the Army Corps came into camp. Did you guys what do you think about that?
There's a logic there, I guess, of like not bringing in new building materials. And I heard that someone got stopped for sleeping bags. We came in with sleeping bags and a bunch of, like, we pack our car almost every time just in case. But yeah, there's a logic. It looks kind of bad. Like, you come up towards camp and there are like 6 police vehicles.
Right. I mean, yeah. Again, on the one hand,
could argue that this is necessary because you don't want people to build new structures, right? On the other hand, what the camp is saying is, well, we're not really building new structures anyways, and this is sort of a boxing in of security. So those are kind of the two arguments that we heard today. Yeah. On the one hand, the Army Corps is saying, well, we just want to make sure there are no building materials, and the camp is saying, well, hey, like, let us handle that. You know, we know what's going on with these structures. So
They also stopped firewood last night, which is
yeah, that's an issue because it is, you know, no matter where you fall on this, it's cold and people need firewood. So that's something I would say objectively, like, it makes sense to let firewood in. It makes sense to let food in. Building materials, that's sort of up for debate. But I think that was one of the requests today from the campus, like, please take those down. And so the representative from the governor's office said he's going to go back and see.
I think the biggest issue is that there's Morton County, so that's reservation land.
Yeah. Right.
There's now Morton County sheriff presence on reservation land, which indicates like the cooperation between the tribe and the county that I think to some people is struggling.
Right. So what they asked is for there to be no Morton County presence, right? Because like you said, you see both, and that's not something that spokespeople from the camp are really comfortable with because they feel like this is not an issue that Morton County needs to be involved in, and so what they're going back to ask is, does BIA have enough resources to handle this? Could Morton County please leave? So I think we'll probably see tomorrow what happens with that request, but that is one of the requests.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. What are you guys doing media for?
We're just independent. Yeah. Doing independent.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Well, you guys have a great day. What's your name?
Lydia.
Lydia. I'm Tim.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys. Yeah, I just got here a couple days ago. I'm just I have a page called Inspire Bank Exits, and I've been filming a lot of people leaving the banks and the credit unions. So.
Oh, okay, cool. Inspire Bank Exits.
Yeah, I'm just doing some live streaming while I'm here.
Yeah. Nice.
Cool, guys. Take it easy.
Good one.
As you can still see, I went up there maybe about 20 minutes ago up to the barricade. There's a Morton County. There's an Army Corps of Engineer that's talking to Morton County and just trying to get a better view. But I got cut off literally right when I went to that barricade. Let's see if I can grab him on the way out. Yeah. So there was a Humvee on top of that hill right there, and that was removed. That's a burial ground right there. They replaced it with another vehicle. They requested to have no vehicle there. They're afraid people are going to go up that hill. Yeah. It's going. Oh, just doing a little live streaming. I wanted to talk to that Army Corps guy just to see what he's talking about. Yeah, totally. They seem like they're open to talk, you know.
Yeah.
So that should be good.
Yeah, I just caught Phyllis on the way out and just kind of got her take on all of it to see if it seemed like there was more information or just more of the same.
Right. Well, it seems to be that the main reason why they let them into the camp was for the extension period, but that doesn't seem like that's even happening at all.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're talking to each other. That's good, but that's always, it seems like one of the only things that's really is progress. But
Well, right now there's a whole transition that's going on right now.
Oh, it's Inspire.
I don't have one.
Bank.
I wouldn't give them this card.
Exits. Okay. Yeah, find me on Facebook. And my name's Tim Schwartz.
Because I will forget.
Yeah, please.
Immediately.
Where are you guys based out of?
Michigan.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and Beijing, right. Right. Yeah, and we usually take these negotiations and edit them down to like 5 minutes so people can see like the highlights. If you want, we can send it to you.
Yeah, please. Yeah,
we usually publish it on the Rock Report. Our page is the Rock Report.
Awesome.
Yeah. Nice
Cool.
to meet you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
See, I'm just waiting to talk to this Army Corps guy to see if what he's talking to with Morton County. See if he's talking. What did you guys discuss?
Some accommodations that can be made with patrols on the road here, with the positioning of agents at the BIA checkpoint, and what can be done to find a middle ground on the hill.
Were they pretty open?
I think they're certainly willing to have some dialogue. I know that they have orders as it relates to patrolling the road, and they need the BIA actually had requested their presence at the checkpoint. So we're waiting to hear back from word on the road and what the BIA says about that checkpoint.
How long has Morton County been up there at the checkpoint?
At the BIA checkpoint?
Yeah.
Again, to my knowledge, I believe it was just implemented yesterday.
Right.
And I think shortly after it was implemented. So at the request of the BIA.
Cool. So the request.
Thank you.
Just to recap, the requests for the camp today on your part. What were they? What were the requests?
I'm working on 3 things right now. The status of troopers at the BIA checkpoint, patrols on the road, and if common ground can be found on the hill.
And what about the date of the 22nd? Is that still a hard date?
That's a hard date.
It's not going to.
Yep. That's a hard date. Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Man.
Yep. Thanks.
So there is Morton County over at the BIA checkpoint. They're negotiating to get them out of there. Doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of things that are taking place, but that is the recap of this meeting. It's good they're talking, but it doesn't seem like really much is happening.
It was just tearing down the wall.
We're gonna come right back down and into the wall as soon as
Do you want to say some stuff? I got a lot of viewers here now.
Well, let's see. If I wanted to say anything, it would be there's a lot of anticipation about what's going to happen on the 22nd. And so we've been out here 3 times on the bridge talking with the officials. And from what I gather from each of those conversations, it's really much the same thing. People are going to be turned out on the 22nd. And so there are some Oglala grandmothers there and some other grandmothers that are planning to stay. And it's because of the treaty rights. They feel it's their land and they're not going to leave. And so a lot of people have cautioned them to go, but they're going to stay. And so there's a group of people that are going to stand with them, and no one's planning any violence. They're just saying we're not leaving this land and you're going to have to tear us off of it. And so we're up in the veterans camp, and there's a lot of mixed feelings about how the veterans will interact with this. And so I spoke with Tulsi Gabbard last night on the telephone and asked her advice in the situation. We built a relationship with her when she came out before, and she cautioned us to just be careful about the optic that we give and consider that we have a lot more fights here on the ground than just this one. So let's make sure that veterans comport themselves out there in the right manner. But I know there are a lot of vets that they feel like they can't stand by and watch grandmothers get snatched up and arrested by Morton County without at least putting a nonviolent shield in front of them. So I think when the day comes, there'll be a call for volunteers to go down to that camp, and then veterans can make their decision, their personal decision, if they want to come down and stand with the grandmothers. So, you know, we're tensing up for this piece of it. And the greater part of this, can we stop it? Can legislation be done to keep the camps? People have different views on that, and I don't know what to say there. I think that, you know, they're going to push this out. They're going to do the best they can to push this out, but how we go is up to us. And
right.
So,
and what are your thoughts? Where do you think this is headed after the 22nd?
well, after the 22nd, I know that LaDonna has invited people to have a permanent place over on her land. She wants to establish a permanent community that's like home there. So I think after, I believe they will come and try to sweep the camp. We have a lot of information that says they will do that on the 22nd.
That's Sacred Stone too?
I believe just Oshedi and the lower part of Sacred Stone. Part of the lower part of Sacred Stone is still on Army Corps land, and the higher part is still on LaDonna's land. So Yurt Village has to be moved out of Sacred Stone. So I think there will always be people here, but for me and a lot of the people that I'm working with, even had a chance to ask Phyllis about this today, we want to create a tour of all the other camps that are springing up that are models of Standing Rock, and go there and help them with those camps, support them in any way we can, because we feel as long as that there's a resistance going on, a real resistance going on the ground, then we have a real resistance at home and in our minds and in our hearts. So we're asking a contingent of an indigenous delegation to come with us on this tour, to go to the leaders of those camps and say, hey, we bring you a symbolic piece of the fire of Standing Rock, and we encourage you to go on further, and we support you. So,
are you going to do that before the 22nd and tour the camps and talk to them, or when are you?
It'll be after the standoff here, and it'll probably be a couple weeks down the line, but then we'll be mobilizing to go visit Sable Trail, Trans-Pecos, also Lancaster, and just Algonquin, and as many of those other camps as we can, to kind of give them some media, lift them up in the media, give them some support, find out if there's ways that we can help them with systems. What do you need? Do you need a way to get on comms? Do you need food systems? Do you need more people here? And so while we're doing that, we're going to be supporting the divestment movement, which is having, a great impact, greater than we've ever seen, even historic. And then also the third arm of this will be to work on creating a political party outside of the Republican and Democratic Party. So I think in those three fronts, we go forward. We support resistance on the ground. We teach people how they can divest money at home if they can't come out here, and we create a party for the people. And those three ways going forward, I think we can't lose.
Boom. Thanks, Evan.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. Good to see you, brother.
Yeah. So there you go. Just a little recap of the meeting with Army Corps and some people. It doesn't really look like a whole lot is being negotiated, but at least you meet every day. They're talking. Please share this, get out the word. The mood is kind of tense here, but progress will be made at a certain point. You guys have a wonderful day. If you're new to this page, please you can go to the bottom of the comments and click to get subscribed to all my live feeds. I've been filming people all around the states, leaving the banks, moving to credit unions. I'd love to film your bank exit. Hit me up if you'd like to do that. You guys have a great day. God bless you. I love you all. Don't lose hope. It's just the beginning. Have a great day.
To any of the military installations, you're not going to let me drive through without taking my license plate, without knowing that. It just makes sense. Yep. So we have, I want to reiterate then that we're clear and you guys agreed on this day. This is only Army Corps. We're not asking anybody else to be involved, and there's an assurance that goes across to the whole camp that that's all it is. Because as Phyllis was saying, that relationship is with Army Corps. But we all know that statute exists that allows Army Corps to give that jurisdiction to Morton County, and we're definitively saying that does not happen.
All these guys are under my direction today.
And I am in touch with the Pentagon and through a lawyer, and they have assured us that they cannot do anything what is in the making. And I just want to ensure that there's no violence that occurs at this level.
And we want to avoid what happened yesterday. The only reason people would cross that barricade is if they're responding to something that's happening with a contractor. And so the reason that we're here today and we're staying here today is to prevent that from happening.
So our history, Army Corps has desecrated graves, grave robbing, including my grandmother, which is why I'm here, which is I have the collective memory of that trauma. So no more. And so I took exception the other day. I came down because there were paddy wagons and police and guns here. And I took exception because I took the governor's word that there would be no more violence, that he would come in a good way. We gave it.
Tonight, that might add more time to allow them to move more trash out. So, and I know, we've been doing 9, and so I don't know if we, say at the end of the day, we reassess on, them starting at 7, and then we still get together at 9 and reassess how things are going in the morning. But we want to make sure that we're being as helpful as we can.
So then I would ask in return, because again, you're asking for reassessment where it works in the timeline and the strategies that you have in place. And we don't have to discuss all of those things, but we have to discuss that it needs to be equitable. Yes. And that if in that space where you're asking, can we move that time forward, then we're also going to ask, as you see in good faith, people are working. We don't have what you have. We don't have big machinery. We don't have people who have been crewed. We don't have people who have been trained and have been licensed. We have people who are struggling to transition from moving from one place to another, and in that it takes them a little bit extra because they're not contractors looking at how a structure gets built or how it comes down. They're just people trying to figure out how to take their cultural items, how to take their spiritual items, how to take their own emotion, their own mental, their own physical, their own spiritual self to a place where they can do that. And you keep saying, yes, the 22nd is firm. And each day, people come here on good faith and say, we'll see that all of us are aware that we're trying to do something in relationship. But part of that was saying that 22nd doesn't have to be firm. And I'm aware that there's a lot of pressure saying, don't budge, don't give in to them. Give in to what? Give in to the humanity that is before you, that is struggling to hold its dignity.
In that, we don't give that to Dalrymple. He stole 25,000 acres of our railroad land. Dalrymple's a thief, and he used the National Guard for his own personal interests. That's not acceptable. So we don't want the National Guard in here. And if they are used against us by the military, Army Corps, that's treason. That's treason.
It's the last thing that anybody wants.
No military is coming in here. We just want to, like we said today, our objective is to clean up.
No violence.
No violence. Absolutely peaceful, no violence. To help clean up.
Is Rick coming back down today again?
Rick will be coming back down.
That was super helpful to have him to address his own staff.
Yeah. So we talked through the plan this morning. We said we'll talk to you guys as early as we can get in. That's what we want to do. Start to get that refuse and snow out of there. But back on you guys, getting some of those structures down. You guys start putting some pressure on folks so we can get the whole area pristine, as you said. We're not going to do that. We're going to leave that to you guys to do it and give people the time, give them the chance to come to terms with it. But it's all got to be part of the plan.
And as part of that, I know the 22nd is approaching quickly. The one thing that, and I don't know if it's now or later in the day, depending on how things go on, we're completely flexible to your preferences. We did get some requests from contractors if it's possible to start earlier. We can't add the number of days, and we discussed that. We can't add days, but we hope that we could add hours. And if they were able to get in around 7 sun up at some point, while the ground's still firm from the cold of the.
So there's a meeting happening right now with the Army Corps of Engineers. I'm not really exactly sure what's going to be talked about, but it's at the new barricade. I'm just heading up there right now. Should be interesting to see if they're going to talk about this new checkpoint that was put in place, or I heard the extension is not going to be put in place. The thing was they're going to let them into the camp to clean if they could get an extension. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Looks like the 22nd is a pretty hard date, and also yesterday apparently one of their trucks hit some people too, so we'll see if they talk about that. Just heading up there to the meeting. It's right by the barricade. Oops, right here. Please share this, that'd be great. Get it out there. We'll see what's going on. Thank you.
People out of the way just in the manner they were driving. Perhaps they felt nervous, perhaps they felt insecure. I sent back the word with Dakota Sanitation, saying, if that's how you felt on one day, imagine what it's like to feel that way every day while all these things are going on. So again, we ask to humanize that, to recognize that's an agreement for today. The only thing we're looking at today, we'd like to know how many vehicles. We'd like to know that we're still talking about, Major, we're talking about snow removal and refuse removal, correct?
Absolutely.
On today?
Yep.
Okay. So we're not talking about knocking down structures, right?
No, we're not
talking about any of those other things. We're just keeping it to getting that melt out of the way so that nobody has to go through this as they're cleaning up this camp. Right. And that we remove the refuse that's within that snow and those trucks going in and out. Yesterday, lots of us had to go North Gate, South Gate, North Gate, South Gate. If we agree today, it's only North Gate, and there's an opportunity for those people to know what vehicles are coming in. That gives us time to put the word across the path.
That would have really been helpful yesterday because whenever those trucks came in and they came in not in a friendly way at all. The first ones that we got tagged, they were very cooperative and friendly. And when these loaders start coming in, that threw us off. We didn't have a list, So we learned from yesterday what we can do different today. Yeah. And he and I will be at the North Gate, and we're gonna ask everybody else not to come up there. provided that list, we could do this in a very good way.
Can we get that list from
Yeah, I think what might work best is I know the license plate numbers I think would be okay. I know there's been some asks for photos and driver's license and that.
Just license plate numbers.
So I think what could be part of that credentialing process is if we do that on 1806 before people go in through the main gate. Major Pope has some yellow placards that we do. And while the inspection's being done, they're taping those placards to the windows. You could just jot just the license plate number down. And once they get credentialed on the highway, so that way we're not slowing things down through Flag Road. Once that's done and they have the go-ahead, then they can go and get to work.
The reverse is true, Levi. You know this too, Major. If I go up